Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. It's time for News Central now, and I am Judith TB. Here are the top stories at this hour. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio petitions IG of police over alleged assassination plot made against him by suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Odoaha. The federal government warns of heavy rains, floods in 30 states and the FCT. And Amnesty International accuses Sudan's paramilitary forces of subjecting women to sexual slavery as part of war strategy. Details shortly. And let's begin by telling you that the President of the Senate has petitioned the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, seeking an investigation into an alleged assassination plot made against him by suspended Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Odoaha. The Akpabio, he petitioned the Inspector General in a letter dated April 3rd, 2025, where he accused where he denied the accusation and called for the prosecution of Akpoti-Odoaha for criminal defamation. The petition has the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice in copy. Senator Akpoti-Odoaha had accused Akpabio of instructing former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello and the current Kogi State Governor Usman Ododo to assassinate her in Kogi State, claiming that it would give the murder the appearance of act perpetrated by her constituents. And now to Rivers State, where the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt has directed the Rivers State Administrator to appear before it and justify why an interim injunction should not be granted to hold the appointment of sole administrators for the state's 23 local government areas. The order, issued by Justice Adamu Mohammed, followed an expedite motion filed by the Pilex Center for Civic Education Initiative and its coordinator, Courage Nsiri Movu. The applicants sought to restrain the Rivers State Administrator and his agents from proceeding with the controversial appointments, arguing that such actions could undermine democratic processes in this state. In his ruling, Justice Mohammed emphasized the need for fairness, ordering the respondent to be put on notice and to show cause why the injunction should not be granted. The court also issued a hearing notice and adjourned the case for April 14th, 2025 for further proceedings. And now to Delta State, where the public outcry over the proposed delineation of words in the Warri Federal Constituents has caught the attention of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, responded to the public concerns, clarifying that no final decision has been made so far. The move followed a Supreme Court judgment delivered on May 2nd, 2022, which directed the Commission to undertake the delineation of words in Warri North, Warri South, and Warri Southwest local government areas. Sam Olumekun noted that INEC is working in compliance with the ruling and has begun a series of consultations with stakeholders across the affected areas. And off to Borno State, where a catastrophic fire has torn through the Wanuri IDP settlement in Kanduga, resulting in the death of 2 individuals and the destruction of thousands of shelters. The disaster has left many displaced and in dire need of assistance. News Central's Umari Kirawa has more.
Searching through the rubbles, leftover items from the fire outbreak that rapidly spread through the overcrowded settlement, destroyed makeshift shelters, and leaving survivors in urgent need of aid. Inhabitants of Wanuri IDP resettlement here fled from their ancestral homes of Wanuri, Kanduga local government area of Borno State for the past 10 years, taking refuge here.
Zoro and their quid and their sword, and doing the ba, go book on the Nalang, she lives in our Halanji, Kawa was now so Yalandi Wahala Sase, Kazumu de Andi, Gandhi, Apindima Barro, Gabaragam, Gotamabaro, and the Akandi. I go natural no go to and Drupana Chokuto Kuro, Muradina Surwahala and their Sutulu.
Access to basic necessities such as food, clean water, and healthcare is another nightmare for the Wanori IDP settlement.
I'm calling the attention of the Northeast Development Commission. Northeast Development Commission is there to support for this, type of this situation, and they have to come to support these people. And NEMA, we have them. They have to look into this community.
Community members are calling on the government to honor its commitment and provide sustainable solutions to their displacement as they continue to struggle for survival.
We have to come and secure the place personally for them to even settle here and to remain as an inhabitant of the state. So the need for the government to be up and doing to resettle them quickly become absolutely necessary because of the natural fire disaster.
The fire incidents at Wanori IDP settlement highlight the urgent need for improved fire safety measures and enhanced emergency response strategies within IDP camps in Borno State. In Konduga for News Central, Umuru Kirawa.
And now back to Rivers State, where the sole administrator has been dragged to court regarding appointment for administrators on the 23 local government areas. And now to make sense a bit of this on the constitutional laws that might have been broken or will be broken, we have legal practitioner Evans Ufeli. Mr. Ofeli, many thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you for coming on. Just to get started very quickly because we're pressed for time, can you clarify the specific powers and limitations of the River State Administrator in making appointments to local government areas?
River State Administrator have no powers under any law in Nigeria. What we have is an aberration. The president has created a behemoth. The president has created an albatross. Because what is happening today is that he's exercising power that he does not possess. What kind of law is governing the people of River State? The law of the president. Anything the president says now is law. That is the fruit of illegality growing and waxing strong. We cannot have a democracy where the president will remove a democratically elected governor and then sustain government by an unelected representative. Now, the word representative does not even come to play. An unelected person, unelected stranger to govern the people, who is now acting outside the law. First of all, he was appointed outside the law. So everything he's going to do from the beginning to the end is going to be a nullity. That is why he's been called to come to court to show cause why he will have to disobey court orders.
Right.
And the days to come is going to be interesting.
The days to come will be interesting indeed. I mean, and at this point, it begs to ask the question, what the legal consequences, if it is found that the LGA appointments were made in violation of the law, what will be the legal consequences? The
legal consequences is that the court will disband all such appointments. Because even the appointment of the sole administrator himself was wrongful. So you cannot put something and expect it to stand. Lord Denning said that in UAC versus Markford, that if a matter is void, the law is a nullity, as you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. We warned against this level of illegality. We warned that this sole administrator should not be allowed to carry on the activities of governance in River State. Because, first of all, he was sworn into office by a non-existent law. Okay? And have you ever seen that in Nigeria, where someone will be sworn into office, you will take an oath of office with a non-existent law? So what is he going to administer, and who is he going to administer? And under what law is he doing all that? It's an aberration. So the president is toiling with democracy, playing politics with our hard-earned democracy. And I find that very unfortunate and disconcerting. that the people of River State will sit and watch such illegality going on. Thank God the court is intervening now, and the court will put a right what is right and what is constitutional in River State.
In the lane or in the path of doing what is right, what then would now be the procedures that must be followed by the River State administrator when making appointments to local government areas? Does he even have the power to do that?
He doesn't have the power. There's nothing right about him. The sole administrator in River State is like taking a poisonous leaf to a purification feast. You don't take a poisonous leaf to a purification feast because you are going to mess everything up entirely. It's not known to law. He's not known to law. And the earlier we dispose him, the better. We must use the law to kill the mosquito that bites the slave, because we have no guarantee that if it sees the bottom of the king, it will not do the same. That's where we are. We have to use the same law to pull him out, to extinguish his administration, and reinstill the person who is democratically elected to lead the state and to govern. Anything short of that, we cannot even use the court to determine what is legal or otherwise by the sole administrator in River State. You can't use the law to correct what is already an established wrong. His existence and his operations have no breadth of law. It's unknown to law. As it stands now, River State have no governor, have no leaders, or have no leadership whatsoever, democratically speaking. What you have there is an aberration. You have, an albatross, more like creating something from nothing that will not stand.
In the meantime, are there any complications here? One has to ask, to what extent do the political dimensions of local government appointments complicate the legal aspect of this summons?
Well, the summons was necessary because the judiciary have to intervene. That's what they call judicial review. Once there's conflict in the land, it behoves of the courts, when its attention is drawn to it by any of the mode of commencement of legal action, for the courts to interpret the law, make a judicial review of the scenario, and come up with a verdict as to what should be the solution, as to what should be governance, what should be right or wrong. Okay? So either ways, the court is still going to step in. An implication of the court stepping in is to interpret the law. And there's nowhere in the law where it is said that under Section 305 you should appoint a sole administrator and depose the governor. Nowhere. We don't know where the president got it from. And wherever he got it from, they got it all wrong. And the law will never condone that. And one thing we must also know is that the president's expression cannot be law. This is not a monarchy. But what we are practicing in River State today, you cannot call it democracy. We can say it's Tinubu's law, that is, whatever he says now is well, because the sole administrator is answerable to him and FEC.
All right.
And that for me is unfortunate, more like a coup that cannot survive the test of time.
All right. I must say thank you, Evans, for just taking out the time to join us. Evans Ufeli, legal practitioner, giving us a bit of insight following the court summoning of the sole administrator of River State. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, the federal government is to commence issuance of e-visas to foreigners to improve border security. We have the details of this and more just after the break. Join us again. And you're welcome back. Now to security matters. Youths in Ugu community in Uwon local government area of Edo State have petitioned the Edo State House of Assembly and also demanded an end to the incessant attacks by herdsmen. The petition written was addressed to the Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, Blessing Ababaku, through the member representing Oriwon South in the House of Assembly, Bright Iyamu, demanded an immediate ban on open grazing by herdsmen in Ugu community. The group said that many villagers have been killed, others kidnapped, while women have been raped severally in their community by herdsmen.
Of the Fulani herdsmen in our locality is becoming unbearable. Women, our men, our youths can no longer go to their farm because of this issue.
Issue of insecurity is not only just in Ugu ward alone. It's all over Edo State as of today. As of yesterday, I was already comparing names of some youths, elders and women. I will soon be calling for a town hall meeting. I want we all to sit and talk, have an agreement that this is what we are going to do about this, so that the necessary indices needed to capture these people will be provided.
I will only say, by way of another article, that whatever that it will take for us to do the needful to ensure that this protracted security challenges is nipped permanently before I will all in ultimate power to support.
I remembered that I moved a motion concerning insecurity. By the grace of God, Senator Monday Ukbewu, the Executive Governor of Edo State, has assured us the way and manner he wants to go about this insecurity in the whole of Edo State.
As terrorism and violent extremism continue to pose grave threats to Nigeria and the West African region, stakeholders say a more collaborative and strategic approach is needed to end the menace. This was the focus of a recent stakeholders conference on security held in Abuja, aimed at building stronger regional ties and modernizing security systems within Nigeria and the West Africa sub-region. Our correspondent Edom Joseph has more.
With Nigeria ranked the 6th most impacted countries by terrorism globally, security leaders and policy makers gathered in Abuja to explore fresh strategies for addressing persistent threats.
Cameroon are not spared by the terrorists.
The Minister of Police Affairs, Senator Ibrahim Kidam, emphasized that defeating terrorism will require a holistic and multifaceted approach, including modern, integrated and cooperative border management systems.
Insecurity has aggravated instability and setbacks in this sub-region. However, I am optimistic that effective information sharing and cooperation among the countries in the region are critical to addressing these challenges.
The conference, themed A Path to Regional Cooperation, brought together top officials from the military, police, drug law enforcement agencies, and regional bodies who all agreed that insecurity cannot be tackled in isolation. They acknowledged Nigeria's progress, like the deployment of biometric border systems and surveillance drones, but warned that the threat remains high, fueled by rising drug abuse among armed groups and porous borders.
The activities of these terrorists have destabilized our communities, especially the Boko Haram and the other associates. We have also seen in the northwest what is happening with the banditry and kidnapping. All these are fueled by drug usage.
Other participants emphasized that regional cooperations through platforms like Interpol and the West African Police Information System could improve early warning capabilities, real-time data sharing, and coordinated operations.
This I-247 will give you the facility to query data among 196 countries across the globe. Imagine you have data of criminal data, intelligence records of 196 countries. The outcome will be excellent for you to perform your duty.
Beyond the speeches, the gathering sent a clear message that regional solidarity, strong enforcement and policy reforms are essential to ending terrorism in Nigeria and beyond. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
The federal government has predicted heavy rains and floods in 30 states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja. The high flood risk states are Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Gombe, Imo, Jigawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos State, Nasarawa State, Niger State, Ogun State, Ondo, Osun, Oyo and River State, Sokoto State, Taraba State, Yobe State, Zamfara State, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Utsev, on Thursday said coastal and riverine flooding would be experienced in some parts of the south-south geopolitical zone of the country due to a rise in sea level. Nigeria's federal government says that it will commence the issuance of e-visas to foreign nationals visiting the country. The initiative, which is a collaboration between the Ministries of Aviation and Interior, will also see the commencement of the utilization of the automated landing and exit cards for all travelers. Both ministers spoke to newsmen in Abuja, saying that this will improve border security and control, reduce corruption in the visa application process, remove bottlenecks during check-ins and exits for travelers, and open the nation's border without compromising the national security.
The Aviation Ministry and the Interior Ministry, from day one, we have decided to cooperate, to collaborate, and we have been doing this seamlessly. Today is another example of that kind of cooperation and collaboration, and this has to do with the introduction of the e-visa. But we have agreed with our agencies, immigration, NCA, FAN, we have agreed to work tirelessly, smoothly on this new initiative. We have responsibilities under our belts, with this new initiative, and we have agreed to cooperate fully. We have absolutely no objection to this very laudable program that is principally a program of the Ministry of Interior.
In the last couple of weeks, so many people on Interpol red notice list had been arrested in Nigeria. The e-visa will make it easier for people to come into Nigeria while enhancing the security of our country. Of course, applications will be online. There was a centralized visa approval center already at the immigration headquarters. Officers have been trained, well equipped, and solution integrated to all criminal record systems in the world, major ones in the world, Interpol and the rest. And of course, there will be better background check in terms of people coming into Nigeria. And of course, we're also looking at removing bottlenecks and also making sure people can get visas to Nigeria without lobbying anybody to come into Nigeria. We want to open our borders without compromising national security for people to come and explore the beauty of the land called Nigeria. So for us, as Ministry of Interior, we have our role to play. And most importantly, the Ministry of Aviation too has a major role to play as the coordinator and regulator of all airlines in coming in and out. out of Nigeria.
The news, prominent thought leaders from across the country converged in Lagos on Thursday for the 97th posthumous birthday symposium in honor of the late Afenifere leader Pa Ayo Adebanjo. They paid tribute to the nationalist icon with a stern warning that Nigeria was in a worse place today than when Pa Adebanjo and his generation devoted their lives to the quest for a better Nigeria.
Speaking at cross purposes, even when they ought to be speaking to free each other or acting to free each other. Afenifere was not founded for the Yorubas. It was founded for Nigerians. It was founded to save us from ourselves. We are asking you that just as we made ourselves available as a platform in 1993, if you look at where we are today, you shouldn't need us to tell you that there is a critical need to come together again, find common purposes as Nigerians, because that's where we are today.
To bring this political party, it should be sold the future. Listening to my brother, the lawyer, let it be the doctrine to be sold to the minds of the younger generations coming. We are not sitting well at all in this country. I beg you. And I enjoyed it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Ports Economic Regulatory Agency bill is currently before President Bola Tinubu for a presidential assent, having successfully scaled through the National Assembly. The Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Akutu Pius, he disclosed this while speaking at the Council's 2025 operational retreat for middle management staff in Abuja. News Central's maritime correspondent was at the event and filed in this report. Take a look.
The transition from Nigerian Shippers Council to the Nigerian Port Economic Regulatory Agency (NIPERA) is a reflection of President Bola Tinubu's concerted effort to create a more structural and efficient port regulatory system in Nigeria, which underscores the importance of the maritime sector in Nigeria's development. The Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Akutu Pius, speaking during the Council's mid-management retreat in preparedness for the transition to NIPERA, noted that the bill will establish a strong, independent regulatory regime with enforceable legal powers.
The transition from the Nigerian Shippers Council to the Nigerian Port Economic Regulatory Agency. You are all aware of the progress we are making in the bill that has been passed by the National Assembly, which is now before Mr. President for assent. This transition, when fully operational, would be an evolutionary case study in Nigeria's maritime and study regulatory framework and port regulatory framework. We are fully supported and encouraged by the Honorable Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, as I said, His Excellency Olugbowega Oyetola, in our Blue Economy journey. Our sister agencies are also supporting us fully in this regard.
On her part, the president of Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, SILT Nigeria, Mfong Unsoro, reiterated the need to have an economic regulator to manage fiscal regulatory issues. While delivering a paper titled Understanding the New Regulatory Environment, Regulatory Framework and Transition, Unsoro expressed optimism that NIPERA would provide regulatory framework for effective and efficient economic regulation of port services, guard against arbitrariness and promote fair competition, while expressing her optimism on the preparedness of the workforce for this transition.
What has been self-evident is that they have interest, first of all. They have interest in learning. You can see some of them have really studied the bill and were able to contribute. They asked for volunteers for the panel. We had over 20. I've not seen a large panel like that. I think there were about 25 upwards coming in to form the panel, and each of them made very important contributions, that either identifying the challenges or seeing opportunities that arise from those challenges. Some already have skills in certain areas, but we all recognize that in transiting to an economic regulator, their scope, their role is wider than the current role now, and there is need, as has been identified already, there's need for more investments in training to acquire the skill that they need.
With Akuta's reassurance that the Nigerian Shippers Council would continue to work diligently for the maritime industry by reducing arbitrary charges, enhance stakeholders' engagement, and enhancing robust dispute resolutions, better days awaits this critical sector. In Abeokuta, for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has reduced the price of petrol at its gantry to 865 naira per litre. The refinery reduced the price of the product sold to all marketers by 15 naira from the 880 naira per litre sold by the facility. The refinery had previously reduced its price to 815 naira per litre, its third reduction in 2025. Despite the fall in crude oil prices to $59 per barrel on Wednesday, the cost of refining remains high due to increased cost of importing crude oil in dollars. Following the devastating effects of climate change made more visible by environmental degradation, which continues to threaten livelihoods, public health, and economic stability of citizens, experts have called on faith leaders to join growing calls for climate action. Now, they say informing audiences on the need for climate action through their sermons can provide the moral and ethical foundation needed for lasting sustainable action. Our correspondent Edong Joseph has more.
From rising temperatures to extreme weather conditions, events and widespread pollution, communities across Nigeria are already feeling the impact of environmental challenges made more visible by climate change. However, beyond policy documents and international climate summits, experts believe that more can be achieved through faith-based approaches.
How does faith practices help? Naturally, like I said, if we had even practiced the faith from the beginning, because God made everything with seed in it, so that, that concept of continuity is embedded in the very heart.
The Bible tells us that the whole earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And so we are called to take care of the earth that God planted us as stewards.
With religion playing a central role in Nigeria, environmental advocates say empowering religious leaders with the right knowledge can help shape public attitudes and actions towards climate change.
It's a bit bad for us to assume that suddenly, because people are religious leaders, therefore they understand these issues. So for me, the first thing is, if we want them to really play their roles effectively, they have to first of all be trained and be educated.
One key concept gaining traction is the circular economy, a system that emphasizes reducing waste, reusing materials, and creating a balance with nature. Faith leaders are now being urged to integrate these principles into their sermons and teachings in a bid to create a cultural shift towards sustainable living.
Faith in and of itself that teaches you the essence of gratitude, it teaches you the essence of contentment, it teaches you the essence of living within your means. It's the same way if you put it into circular economy. It teaches you how the idea of recycling, the idea of reusing.
They can start by having maybe in the churches and the mosques different recycling bins where you have bins for plastic or bins for waste, segregating our waste. That's a way to start.
As Nigeria struggles to tackle its environmental crisis, many believe that faith-based initiatives offer a promising path, which involves blending spiritual values with practical environmental solutions. In Abuja for News Central, Edong Joseph.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Coming up, South Sudan cholera patients die walking to a clinic amid U.S. aid cuts. We'll tell you more about this just after the break. Join us again. Hey, welcome back. 8 people, including 5 children, have died after working for 3 hours in blistering heat to seek treatment for cholera in South Sudan's eastern Jonglei state. This is as the United States aid cuts forced local health facilities to close. The United Kingdom-based global charity Save the Children revealed last month's deaths on Wednesday, saying they were among the first directly linked to cuts ordered by U.S. President Donald Trump, who slashed funding for global health programs under his America First policy after taking office on January 20th. A U.S.-funded transport service that took patients to hospital was also shut down due to a lack of funds, forcing the 8 cholera patients to walk for hours in nearly 40 degrees Celsius heat to reach medical care. Still in Sudan, the human rights group Amnesty International on Thursday said Sudan's paramilitary forces subjected women to sexual slavery and gang-raped women and girls as part of their war strategy. The 30-page report titled "They Raped All of Us" details the harrowing testimonies of around 30 victims, some of them girls, and their reports and their relatives as well. The report adds that the RSF have carried out widespread sexual violence across towns and villages in Sudan to humiliate or set control and as well as displace communities.
The Rapid Support Forces have inflicted widespread conflict-related sexual violence, including rape, gang rape, sexual slavery and sexual assault across towns and villages in Sudan. And why have they done this? To humiliate, to assert control, to forcefully displace populations, essentially to break up the social fabric of Sudanese society. And we've documented 16 incidents of conflict-related rape and other forms of sexual violence by the RSF in Khartoum, in Gezira and North and South Darfur states. We've also documented 11 incidents of rape and gang rape of 36 women and girls, and all of this happened between April 2023 and late October 2024, so the last cases really are quite recent still.
A man from Guinea has died on Thursday after migrants clashed at a makeshift camp in Anambra in northern Tunisia. This is according to a parliamentarian who visited the site and the National Guard, Tariq Mahdi, the MD of Sfax. He, around 30 kilometers from camps set up in olive groves, said the violence began on Tuesday and that dozens were wounded by machetes and knives. Mahdi said the violence erupted between 2 groups, one from Guinea and the other from the Ivory Coast, after a Champions League football match. National Guard spokesperson said the dead man had been hit in the head by a stone and that 6 people have been arrested. Nigerian Exchange Group, NGX PLC, has announced its intention to list major entities such as Dangote Refinery and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, by late 2025. It may be recalled that back in April, the Chief Finance and Investor Relations Officer, Olubenga Oluwani, stated that NNPCL is actively collaborating with potential investor relations professionals and investment banks adhering to capital market regulations and the oil industry law requiring the company to list its shares on the stock exchange. News Central business correspondent Chamon Dabang reports.
In a significant stride for Nigeria's capital markets, the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC has revealed plans to list prominent entities, including Dangote Refinery and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, on the local stock exchange by the end of 2025. This was made known by the Managing Director and Group CEO of NGX, Temi Pupola, during the group's 64th annual general meeting held in Lagos, where he also expressed optimism for the year ahead.
We're excited about what is happening at the regulator, at the SEC. Strong dynamic leadership there. The ISB was just passed by Mr. President. We're very excited about that. And we think overall we have a capital market that regardless of the externalities, we should be able to continue to build and to make progress. The reality also is that this is a national asset. There has been quite a lot of talk on it, so I'll limit my comments to what you have read publicly, which is that the listing of NNPC is on the table. If you look at the regulation and the legislation, that has to happen. We're seeing all of the signs for that to happen. All I would say is that we are very excited at the prospect and the possibility of that, and it's one that, continues to be a work in progress, I'll put it this way.
Speaking to shareholders, NGX Group Chairman Umaru Kwaranga outlined an ambitious strategy focused on repositioning and expanding the market. He emphasized the group's dedication to strengthening market integrity, increasing investor trust, and supporting Nigeria's federal government's $1 trillion economic growth target.
As people are leaving, they are receiving their alerts for the dividend that we have declared. This is something that has never happened in this institution. This is something that I believe with what the momentum we have seen today, with the challenge that we have gotten with the shareholders, we are going to do much, much better. We have declared 1 naira in 2023 year's account. In 2024, we have declared 2 naira. 2025, you can expect nothing less than much more what we have declared in 2024.
The audited financial report of the NGX shows its gross earnings surging by 103.2% to reach 24 billion naira. This is fueled by a diverse growth in revenue streams, with transaction fees up by 64%, listing fees soared by 397.1%, and market data revenue experienced a 100.5% increase. Reporting for News Central Lagos, I am Chamun Dabeng.
Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we'll bring you sports news. Stay here. Nigeria will compete in the 2025 Unity Cup alongside Jamaica, Ghana and Trinidad and Tobago at Brentford's G-Tech Community Stadium in West London. The week-long tournament, scheduled for the 27th to the 31st of May, celebrates African and Caribbean heritage through football, food, music and culture. Trinidad and Tobago will kick off the Unity Cup on 27th May with a high-energy clash against Jamaica, setting the stage for Nigeria's fierce showdown with longtime rivals Ghana on the 28th of May. Meanwhile, all four teams will return to the G-Tech Community Stadium on 31st May for the third-place playoff and the grand finale. Now, for Nigeria, the tournament serves as a timely opportunity to sharpen their squad and test new strategies ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers later in the year. 4 individuals have been invited for questioning as part of the ongoing investigation into the death of Nigerian boxer Gabriel Oluwasegun Olarewaju. The invitation marks the commencement of an inquiry led by a 7-member committee established to probe the tragic incident. The individuals invited include Taufik Muritala, chairman of the Promotion Committee, Isaac Amankwor, a leading member of Ace Power Promotions, Gordon Freepunk, a member of Oshibo Promotions, and Fida Fatal. He is a member of IMAX Promotions. The quartet will appear before the committee on Thursday, April 10th, in the conference room of the Ministry of Sports and Recreation. The ministry has given the committee 21 days to compile a comprehensive report on their findings. 6 new swimming events, including 50-meter backstroke, breaststroke, and butterfly, have been added to the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, increasing the sport's gold medal tally from 35 in Paris to 41. It's going to happen in LA. Now, the decision ratified by the International Olympic Committee means aquatic will now offer 55 medal events, which is more than any other sport. The additions reflect the sport's evolution revolution and bring Olympic swimming closer in line with World Championship standards. The IOC also confirmed gender parity initiatives, including more female athletes slots and expanded women's events in football, boxing and water polo, alongside new mixed gender competitions. Well, more events to watch out for. Well, that's all we can take at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The Senate President, Gospel Akwa Ibom, has petitioned IG of police over alleged assassination plot made against him by suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The federal government has warned of heavy rains, floods in 30 states and the FCT. And we also told you that Amnesty International has accused Sudan's paramilitary forces of subjecting women to sexual slavery as part of war strategy. Now, do remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422. Find us on GoTV channel 23. We're also on Star Times channel 274. Find us on Apple TV as well. Or better yet, just stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith, TV. Bye for now.